EA. EA.
EA.
EA's conference.
It was solid, actually. I'm surprised. Because last year's EA conference was not too great. It was 10 games. It was like, oh, here's SimCity on Facebook. And it turned out that was a bad thing. And then they had some other game announcements. Here's Dead Space 3 as a dude bro shooter. It was just up in the air. But this time, things were a little bit less up in the air and more down to earth, I guess.
Yeah, there's some good announcements here, as well as some teasers.
Yep, some good announcements, some good displays,
and sports,
and terrible sports.
Now, again,
and I'm not even saying the
we'll
sports are bad.
get there in a moment. Let's start from the top, shall we?
Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare.
This was actually leaked because they had all their banners set up across the convention hall, so people kind of knew about it. We didn't know what kind of game it was.
No, we thought it was a joke for some new Plants vs. Zombie game.
But nope, it's a third-person shooter, kind of like a Team Fortress 2, but stars the zombies and the plants.
Yeah, so you essentially is squad-based shooters. And in this case, you play as... They showed off the plants. The zombies, I guess, are going to show off some other place. But the plants, the point is that you play as the characters in Plants vs. Zombies in a shooter.
You play the pea shooter, the sunflower,
and
the chomper,
the
cactus.
In the case of the plants, you can actually root yourself, and then it gives you a special power, which you can use, but you can't move.
Yeah.
It's really weird, but it actually was rather neat to watch. Essentially, they showed off in the demo was that you played as a squad of 4. In this case, it was like the pea shooter, the sunflower. I think the chomper was the one character, and then there was also the cactus. And each one of them had their own ups and downs, and they all had to work to fight off against hordes and hordes of zombies as they started coming up across. And as you killed them, sometimes a boss zombie would show up, like a disco zombie, and you had to work together to get rid of that particular zombie.
There's a sniper, a healer, a meleeer, and there's also the usual shooter, soldier.
It's weird that they would try and inject this IP into other genres like this.
Works.
But it kind of works. I'm almost kind of expecting a kart racer now for Plants vs. Zombies.
It's a lighthearted shooter, and I think I like that in that style. We don't know what the zombies will play like because they didn't show us.
I know there was one zombie that could teleport.
It was a scientist.
That one I think is going to be one of the ones that are most exploited. But whatever,
yes.
Whatever it is, the game looked solid from the graphical standpoint and looked fun from a gameplay standpoint. I have no qualms.
My only concern is whether the game will just be multiplayer focused or if it will have some kind of single-player campaign.
I doubt there's a single-player campaign. Like Team Fortress 2, it's going to be focused almost entirely on squad-based multiplayer experience. But right after that...
guy came on stage and the greatest announcement ever, Peggle 2!
Yeah! And then the guy jumped in the air to no response. And I gotta feel sorry for the guy doing that.
There was a giant rainbow on the stage, giant 2, and
to joy, and then they walked off. But I think the reason for that was he needed to be as over the top as possible, and not a single response because
there wasn't any footage. It was literally just rainbow time. Da, da, da. It's done.
And the worst part is it's coming out this year. So I have concerns that maybe the game is going to be like a Facebook game or something.
Why couldn't they just show it?
Show like a screenshot.
Show it.
Something.
Or something.
No. We're just going to end it with you jumping in the air and
that's
just walking off stage. It was really awkward.
It's weird.
And then came Titanfall. They didn't really Titanfall again.
Yeah.
They actually it was not really actually gameplay footage so much as it was about behind the scenes talking about how this product is so unique to the genre and how we want to change the gaming industry with this game. So, yeah, it was fine. Not as good as the demo from Microsoft's conference, but it was nice to at least acknowledge it.
The next one, we were like, it's in the snow, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden, Star Wars Battlefront.
Oh my gosh!
Yes, a new Star Wars game.
But keep in mind that Star Wars didn't come into their hands until earlier this year.
So yeah, this is a very early teaser.
Yeah,
this is probably not coming out for another year and a half.
They actually said it was coming out probably in 2015.
Yes.
So good for them to make a teaser trailer of something like that.
But they wanted to announce it because, they have the license now.
Yeah. So then they showed off Need for Speed Rivals, which is essentially a sequel to Need for Speed Most Wanted, developed by Criterion. This is not developed by Criterion, by the way. In fact, it uses the Frostbite engine, I feel. But the game essentially is the same thing. It's Need for Speed. By the way, this is the second realistic racing game. Even though it's not really that realistic. But it's at this point in time when they were actually showing gameplay demo, which by the way looks really good, that I realized that there's somebody there holding a tablet. And I look around going, what is this guy doing with a tablet?
A tablet.
Is he helping? Who's he helping? And it turns out that the game has mobile interaction, which is the second time a mobile device, such as a tablet, is shown heavily at a press conference. The game looked great. Graphically, it looks splendid, and but at the end, the gameplay is pretty much Most Wanted again. They just didn't want to call it another Most Wanted game. So
yes, and also big new announcement.
Did they mention the cloud?
They probably have. Everyone knows the cloud.
Yeah, we forgot Oli at the beginning of this that they were talking about how this is relevant to PS3, PS4, and Xbox One almost predominantly. Everything here, except for the fact that Plants vs Zombies: Garden Warfare I think was playing on the PC, but I can't even remember at this point.
And they announced that Need for Speed is getting a movie.
Oh man, remember that guy from Breaking Bad that wasn't the main character? He's going to be the star. We don't need
what story can they put in Need for Speed besides Fast and the Furious?
We don't need Need for Speed when we got Fast and the Furious. Let me tell you,
it's already there was a whole. It's already filled.
We can't stop it. It's already done.
The train. You can't stop this train, Alex.
I can't stop this train.
It's
going to crash and burn. Oh my gosh.
Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yeah, they decided that they were going to have. We kind of expected them to show off something.
Yes, Dragon Age.
In this case, it looks to be that once again dragons have appeared.
And the rifts have opened, and once again, monsters are coming, blah, blah, blah.
And, of course, you see Morgan Le Fay at the end being like, oh, this is your destiny, or something foreboding, almost, in a way.
Yes, and, once again,
2014.
It's still ways off.
It's still ways off. They didn't show actual gameplay footage, they showed in-engine, which EA was a big proponent of the in-engine spiel.
Well,
no, they were. They were big on it, too.
On that one. But as far as the game goes, hopefully they'll go with the way the first one went, because apparently the second one people weren't really that thrilled with. Less action, more RPGs.
Now, after Dragon Age Inquisition, they actually decided to go to the sports, because they were talking about how they're big working on two engines. One is Frostbite, which is what most of the games we talked about use. And then they talk about the Ignite engine, which is a new sports engine which allows you to see their faces change, the motion, their body reacts more in tune. And then they go on to say, let's talk about sports for the next 25 minutes and bore our press people to death.
Yes, I'm serious. This is what they did for the next 25 minutes. And what bothered me the most, none of them actually showed gameplay footage.
None of them. Not a single one showed gameplay footage of any discernible type. They showed in-engine cutscene, in-engine trailers,
actions,
and activity. And you're like, okay, I can believe that, but until you show someone actually playing the game as a human, playing against a computer, I will get back to you on that.
It's like, oh, we're playing with a... They spent like, I don't know how many times they're talking about dribbling a ball for basketball.
Yeah, NBA Live 2K 2014, they had a rapper come out and do slam poetry before bouncing a ball. As if this was something that we needed to know without a doubt.
And that was it. They seriously, that's all they did was...
Oh, there's bounce tech. Now the ball is not... Now the ball is...
the ball.
Yeah, now the ball is not...
Can you tell I don't play basketball? Because...
But it was like, no longer is the ball part of the animation. It is actually bouncing using physics. As if that means that they weren't doing it before, which confuses me a bit. Isn't the ball like the thing that needs to be detached from people?
I guess
so you could knock it out of someone's hand?
I guess not, but I'm listening to this and I'm like... Okay, are you going to show us a game? No.
Oh, but did they have by the way, this is going to follow every single one of these sports. They have a teaser trailer kind of thing. They have a real sports person or person representing that sport come out and talk about this sport. And then they're going to have an in-engine trailer of that sport, which really doesn't show for very long before they stop it. That's every single one of these.
So that's NBA Live.
And then you do Madden 25. They had... what did they have come out? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
They announced that there's two covers for Madden to curse. So there's going to be two different people who are going to suffer terrible...
then they had FIFA 14.
Oh, Madden 25 did show a lot more gameplay footage and slow down, but there was a lot of poor frame rate involved. It was like... okay, we're
still early on that
We're still early.
FIFA 14.
They had, I think Drake came up. Who's Drake? But Drake showed up. He was like, I watch football all the time. I watch soccer, and I really like to watch it. It's really good. And then they showed a trailer with this guy, with one of the players of FIFA, talking about how realistic it is and having the twirly fingers. And that stuff I think we saw from back of the Xbox One announcement. So it wasn't anything new for us. So we just kind of like, okay,
next game. EA Sports UFC.
They don't even have a year associated with this.
They had a microphone come down from the sky.
Oh yeah.
And they had a guy announce... I don't remember what he said, but
he was announcing whoever was the producer,
and then there are the people with the belt, with the winner, the current.
Yeah, they had one of the worst exchanges I've ever heard. They're like, oh yeah, I play games. Yeah, it's really good. I'm glad to do this.
It's also just good.
And they just stop for a second. okay. Like, they kind of like have this like moment where they break for the next teleprompter, next page. Come on, I can't stay on the stage this much longer. I'm going to have a heart attack. And then the gameplay footage they showed was pretty decent. But at the same time, like, they don't have enough. They're concerned that this is not going to succeed well because they don't even have a date or anything. It's just EA Sports UFC. It's like, really? You're just going to call it UFC? That's the most generic name of a product I've ever seen.
FIFA is just FIFA 14.
EA Sports FIFA 14.
Oh, sorry. But it is that we're like, okay, I guess none of these sports games are far enough along, and they're all coming for Xbox One. And when they announced it, they said it was going to be within the first 12 months, so it's probably not coming until like
I'm just more concerned that something like Madden 25, a game that should be out within 3-4 months, is not looking ready yet. And that's like a bit of a concern to me, more than it should be for everybody, really. That, you know, but it doesn't really matter because EA is essentially the monopoly holder of anything regarding sports at this point, so why even bother? I didn't mean to be that harsh, but that's what it seems like from my perspective. Alright, so after the sports block, we go to Battlefield 4 again. This time to show off multiplayer. It was really good. Yeah, they showed off like a very large scale multiplayer. And they played it live by having everybody in the background playing.
And 30 people or something.
64 people.
64 people playing simultaneously. They're in a building shooting things up.
It was a huge map for one.
It was huge.
It was a city block, and on top of that, they went into a building. They shot down. They shot down like these helicopters, and they went out of the building just in time to turn around and see the building collapse.
Awesome.
Which was a great display of how the world changes. At the same time, though, I swore I saw the model change to a falling model. Like it flickered and then it fell. But that was just me or a glitch in the stream. And on top of that, obviously that was pre-decided. It was like, okay, you guys, don't shoot me. You guys throw a grenade to blow up the street while we're in it. And then when we go up the stairs, come up in that floor, and I will shoot you down. Kind of like, you know what I mean? Like they had this whole...
But it was cool.
But it looked great. And that's something that I really have to say that was like one of the best things about this EA show was that the demos were not a problem at all.
No, they all worked. And then...
we forgot all about the hot mics. Oh my gosh.
Ooh, yes, there was a hot mic. Someone directing traffic and cameras and where people were going, their mic was on.
Their mic was hot. And so we heard all this.
So like, okay, play it. Okay, come on stage.
It was really weird. And I think it kind of like none of these press conferences escaped a glitch like that.
And that was EA's glitch. And then they end the conference with the unveilment of Mirror's Edge.
Yes, now Mirror's Edge was a great unveiling because they kind of like, hey guys, we have one more thing to announce, and everyone's like, oh, it's Mirror's Edge,
it's Mirror's Edge, it really is, and it showed in-engine footage again.
Yeah, which once again EA, but actually that's not a bad thing. That game looked great.
Well, also because DICE said it'll come out when it's ready,
which means probably 2015 because when a developer expects it to be done by 2014, they tell you. Like Dragon Age Inquisition, they said 2014 straight up. This is not 2014.
No, this is probably a little later. It's probably not going to happen for quite some time.
Hopefully it's not like Duke Nukem Forever, which just keeps on taking forever to come out.
I hope not. They say it's open world, so you get to choose where you want to go. I really hope it is, and it's non-linear.
And obviously there's no shooting elements into it, unless you want to use a gun.
So. I think it sounds like they're going to be just parkour elements. Is it a sequel? Is it a prequel? Is it a whatever? We don't know. And it's way too early, and we'll see when it comes out.
And that ended the conference. Yeah. I would say definitely, bar none, much better than last year's E3.
Yes.
They had solid demos with Plants vs. Zombies and
Titanfall.
Titanfall they didn't have Titanfall wasn't a demo. Plants vs. Zombies and Battlefield 4. And they also had some great announcements that were maybe even teaser announcements, like with Mirror's Edge and Star Wars Battlefront, both for 2015. And they also had promises of good games coming out in 2014 with Titanfall, Dragon Age Inquisition. It was a really good, rounded-out conference covering everything. The only thing that was a bad part was
Peggle 2.
And Peggle 2 was that was a bad announcement. But I would say that the bad chunk was that 20 to 25 minute segment dedicated to sports.
Now, I understand EA has a huge market for sports games, which is fine. We understand that. But you really shouldn't make such a huge deal about it when it's not even physically showable. It's like they had 25 minutes of just them talking about their engine rather than actually showcase the games. And that's where really the bog down happened. That's what we're really upset about, is that you spent about half your conference, and you didn't actually show us games. You just showed us engines.
And discussions with sports people and people who watch sports, which just made it a lot more awkward to us, to people as the press. Just sitting there like, okay, stop talking, show us the next thing.
Show us games. And thank goodness you ended with some big notes with the Battlefield 4 multiplayer with the giant building collapsing and with the announcement of Mirror's Edge. Nice balance out. I would say EA had a very solid
Solid one. Outside of that chunk of unfortunate announcements and not really enough gameplay to
It needed more gameplay. If they had gameplay, it would be better.
Yeah, if they had enough gameplay to balance out the
engine
discussion, it would have been a lot better for the sports. And that's EA. So it's all around a pretty good conference.
Yeah.
So on that note, click on the left side to go back to Microsoft's conference discussion, and then click on the right side to go to Ubisoft.